All
Uh,
right.
for everybody watching, thank you for coming to watch Jamflix and Chill for the Awful Winter Jam 2018 Jam contest. We've got with us today Will, who made Unearth.
Hello.
We've got TomR with Night of the Surfing Dead.
Ahoy!
And we've got Panache, Eeyore, and EbonySky with Unidentified Falling Objects.
Hello.
Co-hosting is Xibanya.
Oh shit, what up?
Hello. And we're going to get right into Unearth.
Oh boy.
I'm hype.
Get hype. Alright, so I did already play a bit of Unearth during normal, during the jam, so I'm going to start on hard this time around.
Oh boy.
So I haven't played this game yet. What is this game?
So Unearth is a kind of puzzle platformer set during the California Gold Rush. You play as Bob here, and you dig around, and as a sub goal, you can also pick up gold. But your main goal is just to get to the bottom of each level. In terms of kind of the main features of the game, you get a charge punch, a punch, a jump, and kind of just basic tools that you're going to need to get from point A to point B.
Looking at this, the game that I'm already familiar with that immediately comes to mind is Spelunky. I'm guessing that was some kind of inspiration here?
Spelunky was actually probably the last of the inspirations. The primary two were Mr. Driller and then kind of a little bit of SteamWorld Dig.
Very first thing I thought was Mr. Driller when I saw this.
I actually haven't played that.
I've admittedly, the only time I ever played Mr. Driller was for about 2 minutes at a store in San Francisco on a demo, and but it kind of stuck with me for some reason. That's just the way that it's structured. But Mr. Driller is much more of an arcade puzzle game, whereas Unearth is a little bit, is a puzzle platformer. So you're supposed to be able to go back up. And it's about very clever. It's about ascending and descending as you prefer. So, well, like for pace, Mr. Driller kind of was an inspiration, and also for like the shape of the level design. Obviously, you get no horizontal scrolling, only vertical. But SteamWorld Dig has a lot of the mechanics. You dig down, certain blocks have additional hits on them, certain blocks move with gravity. That's also kind of a Mr. Driller thing. And then you can pick up, gold, and there was one other thing. Oh, combat, yeah.
And you did all the art for this game?
Yes, I did basically everything. That's sound
awesome.
Effects. Yeah.
I'd always known you as a sound guy. I didn't realize you were an art.
I am absolutely not an art guy at all. This is my best attempt.
It's a very attractive looking game.
People have been telling me that, and it's very motivating, but also very surprising. It makes me motivated to continue working on art. But I just didn't expect that people would be so positive about it. I guess
it legit looks really good, like something that like a proper art person would make.
See, I think I used a few principles that I'd kind of vaguely gathered while I was learning how to draw a little bit over the last year. One was I tried to stick to a little bit more of a restricted palette. So the dirt all has a lot of the same colors. And the main ways in which the dirt is differentiated is by kind of mixing the colors in different ways. So the soft dirt is light. It looks light compared to the hard dirt, just because the soft dirt has more of the lighter tones. And then there are the hard blocks, the ones that you can't punch through, that have another darker tone of brown, but otherwise use the remaining tones in such a way that there's a contrast that they look very dark compared to the rest. And
Yeah, it's fantastic, and well, because when you're working at this level, like it was such a small res. It's not really about who can draw best; it's who's got a better eye for design. At that point,
yeah, it was kind of a bit of luck. I think, like I was just like, maybe if I restrict things enough, I can make things look attractive, and that kind of ended up happening. I
was that why?
I was gonna say I have a preference for colors that aren't super bright but are fairly bright. You can see that the colors are saturated, but they're not too saturated.
Well, I mean, this is great. You can very easily differentiate the enemies from the world from your character. I was going to ask you why you chose to have such a low res for this game. I mean, clearly it was a design decision because you weren't limited by hardware stuff.
Right. So the res of the game is 96 by 96, and the reason for that is because I cannot draw. So I figure, I draw very slowly as a result. When I want good results, it takes a lot of time. These blocks took a lot of time to put together. It took a lot of trial and error to say, okay, that looks like dirt, that looks like softer dirt, this looks like harder dirt, these look like rocks. And so with that in mind, it's vital for me to have these sprites be 8 by 8, which is a very small resolution, and I want them to be able to be very, very crisp and clean, and pulling the resolution down to 96 by 96 ensures that I can have each sprite kind of speak very clearly, but also that my scope in terms of level design is very, very limited, which kind of became a difficulty here and there. But it means that there's less level for me to work with. There's less level for me to like struggle on.
And this isn't proc gen. This is
nope. This is all hand designed.
Beautiful, artisanal, and crafted levels.
Yes.
Bespoke.
I mean, I love level design. It's probably one of my favorite parts of making a video game. When I got all the mechanics, the base mechanics, ready to go with Unearth, I think it was about day 6, I think. And I'm like, okay, so time to get started on crafting some levels. And from there on, I made 5 levels, and I made each level in 1 day. Each level was a single day's work, including core mechanics. So the 4th level, you'll see, had a couple mechanics that those were designed on the day that I made that level.
Is there falling damage in this game?
No, there is not. However, when Bob falls from a great height, he does make a huge thud. This is something that I pulled over from another thing that I'd been working on. I had a lot of boilerplate platformer code that I'd kind of been building because I wanted something that could be really portable and really nice and convenient. It had a lot of polishing elements that'd be really easy to work with. Like, it's very easy to move around footstep sounds with what I've got here. So one thing that game had was like loud thuds based on your height. And I was like, this is a game about descending. So you're going to be falling a lot. So it would be really cool to have that particular element in this game, because then you can really feel those big falls.
The mechanics I'm seeing here seem very, very rich. I was loving the bombs and the chain reactions, and I love the little smoke clouds for the bombs too. Like, look good.
So I wanted to have. I've got some experience by now with building puzzle elements. So I kind of have some idea of what is a strong puzzle element and what is not. What are versatile puzzle elements? The bomb blocks struck me as nice one. The bomb blocks struck me as a particularly versatile puzzle element, and they actually worked out even better than I thought they would. From this point, from this level into the next 2 levels, they continue to make an appearance because they're just so versatile. They have a lot of uses for gating progress, for danger, things like that, and so that's really cool. As for the particle effects, particle effects are just super duper important for making your game feel polished, especially an action game. And so I really wanted particle effects to be a part of basically any major interaction. So like breaking blocks, that has a particle effect. Landing has a particle effect. Jumping has a particle effect. Charging a punch.
Yeah, I noticed the guy
jump
seemed to be like perspiring in effort as he charged up his big hop.
Yeah. So
it's very cute.
It definitely kicks a lot of life into the game.
Particle effects and sound are a huge deal to me because other than feeling the weight of your character as you control them, it's very significant that you get this sense of like it being a real thing, and sound and particles really help to sell that. They help to sell your character's presence, much like shadows in a 3D game.
Makes sense. I also like in goofy platformers where when you hold down on the controller, your guy like smooshes, because I mean that's how you know you're holding down instead of not holding anything, and that always cracks me up because it's so funny. So I appreciate that you did that here.
So it's like a dual purpose kind of thing, because crouching actually serves a lot of purposes in this game. For one thing, if you hold the crouch button and nothing else.
I also just noticed you did a squash stretch when you landed, and that was cool.
Yes. I want to talk about that as well, but I want to finish the thought about.
Yeah.
So Bob will, when he crouches and you just hold the button, Bob will look down. So you'll be able to scroll the screen down and see further. And this is great because it allows players to strategize a little bit more efficiently and kind of think about what they're doing before they take risky falls. In a game that's focused on a vertical platforming, that makes a lot of sense, I think. If you hold down and press left or right on the keyboard, Bob will crawl forward left or right 1 pixel. And this is useful for making particularly precise punches, because as you can see, behind him, Bob has a little box. That's called the spot box. And the spot box basically shows exactly which tile your punches are going to be coming out from. Because I didn't want the player to be able to break 2 blocks at once with like a vertical or downward punch. So instead, the punch is like emitted from the tile, so it can only break 1 block. And what that means is that it's got to be kind of quantized to that tile, and the spot box helps to kind of help the player understand where their punch is coming from. As for and then there's one other thing, of course, that crouching does, other than letting you aim down, and it's allowing you to charge a super jump, which is not necessarily important to players who really know what they're doing, but it can be useful for players who are new to the game and are trying to find their feet with the platforming. As for the squash and stretch when Bob lands, that's also done in code. When Bob lifts off, you can see a bit of stretching, and that's done with a lerp. Which is really amazing. I love lerps. Lerps are fantastic. Lerps are also used in the HUD. When you collect gold, or when you grab a stamina drink, the gold and stamina drink counters respectively will squash and stretch, and that's also done with a lerp. As well as that, when you pick up a stamina drink or lose stamina in any way, the counter is lerped, so it doesn't actually go like doesn't go straight to whatever the target stamina is. It goes, okay, well, you're supposed to be at 11 stamina because you just lost 10, so I'm gonna slowly take you down to 11. And lerps are great because they kind of allow you to do that in a very smooth, kind of attractive way, and I like that a lot.
Oh yeah, everybody loves lerping.
Lerping's great. So for the falls, depending on, this is actually tied to the fall sounds, because Bob has different sounds for when he falls, based on how high he was, and so when you fall from a very great height, Bob squishes down to I think about half, maybe a third, of his actual height, and then immediately bounces back up. And it's less when he bounces from, or when he lands from a less severe height. It really helps you, again, it really helps you feel like every single landing. It helps him feel like a part of the world, and I really like it. I like the squishiness. As for the squishiness for when he crouches, that's just animated. That's just a sprite.
Makes sense.
It's just whatever was more convenient at the time, really.
Sounds like game dev to me.
Yeah, there was a lot of whatever's most convenient at the time for Unearth. There were things that were kind of hard-coded. A lot of interactions were hard-coded that really shouldn't have been. If I was making the game, if I was making the game kind of from like a perspective of where I got plenty of time, it would have been more convenient in the long run to not hard code certain interactions, like the lasers hitting blocks. I could have had those parented to some sort of like block killing object that would be shared with like the fist and the super punch fist, but instead I just had all the blocks react specifically to the laser shot because I'm a doofus.
I mean, you're talking about things you should have done, but with a jam, you often have to make design decisions before you actually know ultimately what you want. So I think given the time, that was smart. Of course, when you go back, I think you should definitely keep continuing this game because this looks fucking beautiful and it looks like it'd be a great mobile game or something. That's when you can go and actually make scalable systems. Right.
Yeah, that would be something I would definitely like to look back into if I mess with the game some more, which I might. Probably not for the mobile market, just because I think the control scheme's a bit too complex to support.
Makes sense.
That sort of area, but definitely if I can, I'm considering the possibility of a Steam release at some point in the distant future. But for now,
this would do great on Steam. Like,
yeah,
just be a like $2 game or something.
Yeah,
and I don't say that to like put down your game, but like people would totally buy it as an impulse buy and love it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, $2 or $3 kind of game. It was funny. I was talking to a friend of mine. I was thinking, maybe I'll make like a few extra, adjustments here and there, and then I'll sell it, or I won't sell it. I'll just have it put up on Steam for free and just to get my name out there. And then he said, well, no, you should actually go ahead and put it for a price because you can get some practice at selling a video game. And I'm like, I never thought about it that way.
I actually was planning on putting up Slime Fighter 2 for free, but John Turp talked me out of that. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, actually, I don't want it for free because how many free games on Steam do I download? None of them, because I assume like there's a catch.
that was exactly the logic my friend used with me. He said, I'm just thinking, I don't really download free games. That's what he was saying to me. And I was like, I do, but because I like to kind of occasionally dig through itch just for the heck of it, and see what's around.
I trust free itch games more than free Steam games.
Same here.
That's probably, yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, with Steam, I usually tend to buy a bunch of games, as many as I can for $20 whenever a sale rolls around.
Microtransaction.
Yeah.
I think my record is something like 70-something games I got with $20 one time. And it's really amazing what you manage to get in there, and
sorry,
all the little hidden gems that you find in it, but a lot of it is crap.
Will, what were you saying to me?
You were cutting out for a little bit there. I think you're okay now.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, I was gonna say that you almost missed all the gold, but then you died, so it was like whatever.
I did miss one gold, and I was looking at what happened. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting that.
So it's funny. I'm looking at the part that that you're on right now, and this was a part that John Turp, I think it was Sharp and Spoon, you and Master Goffrin kind of puzzled out for a little bit. You guys were all kind of chatting about how to go about this particular block of gold. Oh, you went for the ballsy strat.
Oh yeah.
And it was really fun watching you guys kind of puzzle it out. It's I cannot tell you how much fun it is watching someone enjoy your puzzle game. Because they come up with strategies, and it's really exciting to see them kind of like think, well, I could try this. And one of the things I was really happy with about Unearth at normal and also at hard is that there are a lot of options, especially in normal because you have bombs, but in hard as well. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. When I first started sending out Unearth for playtesting, like I had all the stages ready to go, What are you doing?
I'm trying to work out how to drop this boulder without blocking my way to that gold. So I'm kind of just observing the landscape a bit.
Oh, I see.
I'm not sure if I've already messed the whole thing up, but I'll keep going.
No. I think this particular puzzle is not something that you can screw yourself out of. I don't believe so, anyway. But so, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So when I first sent out Unearth for playtesting, had all the levels done, no cutscenes in yet, no menu stuff like that, and I was kind of like the base stamina and bombs that you had were somewhat like hard. You had 30 stamina, 30 base stamina, drinks healed 10, so that's like hard. But you also had one bomb. And as I saw players approach that, I was getting the sense that there was a lot of difficulty. And I was thinking, like, originally I was thinking I'd have an easier mode. Like, it would be called as such. It would be called easy. And you are in trouble, my friend.
Oh, yeah. I worked it out, though.
Good job. So when I was thinking, okay, I'll have a mode called casual and a mode called like standard, and standard actually got dropped as a name because it didn't fit. Like I couldn't fit the word standard.
I've done things like that before.
This is the power of 96 by 96. You cannot fit anything. You have to be very economic with your word choice. So yeah. So eventually standard got changed up for normal. But I was thinking it would be casual, standard, and then some extra difficulty that I was still puzzling out. Originally, the hardest difficulty was going to be called like extra or something, and it was going to involve you collecting all the gold, going to the bottom, or collecting all the gold and then going back up to the top of the level, instead of Bob automatically jumping all the way back up. But when I playtested it, it turned out it wasn't actually that interesting to go all the way back up to the top of the level. It just wasn't. It wasn't engaging. It wasn't a new challenge or anything. Except for the tutorial level, oddly enough. That was the only one that had a particularly unique challenge tied to getting back up the level.
I could see that, though. I've played games that have made me do that before, and it feels tedious, because especially if it's hard enough to get to the bottom, then it's like, oh great, I'm just going to see the same shit I already saw, and I'm already ready to be done with this level.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like, this doesn't really add a lot. So I just went for an even harder difficulty mode. and you're not screwed yet. But you're gonna get one chance to not get killed by that laser. So be careful.
I think I got this. Oh my!
Oh no! How could you do this?
Tail end of that laser.
So so at the end, when I'd gotten difficulty all tested out and stuff, it turned out that, really, I was thinking, maybe I shouldn't go with casual being this easy mode, because I feel like people are going to be less likely to pick it. And so after some really quick number adjusting, like that same day after I got some, the build out to some early tester, I think it was Dieting, Hippo, Raujin, Nihilos, I think, and maybe one other person. I was thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna bump up the stamina to like 40 or something. I think it was what I settled on.
Something like
maybe
that.
45. And I'm gonna give the player 2 bombs. I'm gonna have stamina drinks heal 15. And by having stamina drinks heal 15, first of all, it allows you to be a little bit less economical, a little bit less strategic. And another thing is that it allows the player to what was I gonna say? Allows the player to make more mistakes, because every stamina drink healing 15 means that like the amount of actual stamina available in the level is like, I don't know, oh my god, something like an additional 20-25 depending on the number of drinks in the level. So with that change made, I sent it over to Super, who tried out the new difficulty level, and he just kind of blitzed through the thing, but he had a great time. And I'm thinking, on the one hand, my difficulty, you are screwed.
Oh yeah.
On the one hand, the difficulty, has been kneecapped completely. and he just kind of blitzed through the game. But on the other hand, he had a good time. And I'm thinking now, like he had his chance to kind of bumble through the game, not exactly knowing what he was doing, while the game wasn't too punishing. And I'm thinking like, oh, if you make your game accessible, what happens is people like it, and then they go back in for more. Especially if the game is short. And I've actually, and as it turns out, I've had a lot of people tell me that they've replayed the game on hard, or they've replayed the game even on the hardest difficulty. I believe that it was Giggs who was saying that he replayed the game something like a number of times just to go faster in normal mode, and then he replayed hard for the heck of it. And it's just like, hey, you know, this is really good. If I make a brisk replayable game that's easy and light, you know, that works out quite well. I'm really pleased.
I really do like the idea of going through the previous levels, but now there's an added restriction, and it makes it a lot tougher, and you have to rethink everything.
Well, the other kind of cool thing about it, and this was like just because of the way I happened to build the game around the stamina system, was that you know, because there are more limits on stamina because you don't have bombs. Now you need to solve the puzzles differently. Now the puzzles are more like puzzles instead of things that you can just kind of blitz your way through with bombs, and it turns into a kind of a tough puzzle game out of just a kind of simple fun platformer. It becomes a different genre of game. That was like super cool to me, that I somehow did that mostly by accident. I think it was, and well, one other thing too, right? Is that it means the game is more accessible to a wider audience of people. I've got a friend who doesn't like puzzle platformers very much. He's not a big fan of puzzle games. And you're.
Oh yeah, I was not making it out of that one. I'm trying to get down using the just hanging off the edge by a pixel to hit things below me, and that's working out pretty good.
This level is pretty tough on hard, definitely. So I don't blame you. It did take some rebalancing. I did have to do some rebalancing with these later levels, just because the turret enemy was actually quite difficult to deal with for players at first. It didn't have a warning to begin with. It just fired instantly upon that little laser catching you.
That was very evil.
You know, because you tried that version of the game.
Oh yeah.
But it's actually kind of funny, the way the laser works. You might notice it sort of trails out forward, instead of like just all existing at once like an actual laser might. And that was just me finding the path of least resistance to coding my game. I was like, okay, so if I have the turret spawn multiple little laser objects, right? So those are like all like little 8x8 sprites that come out of the turret. And they're little tiny objects, and there's just a trail of them, right? And the turret just spits those out. And they're parented kind of, in a sense, by code to the turret. So if any one of them touches Bob, they're like, hey, you need to fire. And then the turret's like, okay, well, I'm firing. You better like disappear. And the lasers disappear. And that was like the fastest way I could think of to do that. Because like trying to do some sort of weird thing with like a while loop or whatever, that was like not something that I was prepared to handle.
There we go, I got it.
Ooh, dangerous.
And now I really don't know what to do next.
Play carefully. Very carefully. Ooh.
Oh.
Good job.
I'll take it.
Also, Xibanya has been especially quiet, so I'm not sure if she is talking or...
I'm still here. I just have not had anything useful to add, but I've been enjoying watching.
Okay, just making sure. I'm very sensitive to like things going wrong with with calls and things like that. So.
Oh well. That's why
there we go.
Oh, there's There's the dude at the bottom.
There's a dude at the bottom. It's all a part of a fun little cutscene. So I like this cutscene a lot, not because I think it's well written, although I am happy with some of the parts about how it's written. So you notice how, like, normally this text box here, this is static. Normally, it's usually just, it fades into the cutscene. But I was like, man, wouldn't it be really cool? Because, like, because this occupies the whole screen, I can't have this and like the player object on the screen at the same time. So I'm like, well, what if this just falls into the game world and occupies the whole screen? And I was like, yeah, that sounds really good. And originally I was like vaguely considering a final boss, but I knew it would take a lot of time. So instead I was like, okay, well, what if, like, instead the window lifts slightly up and you'll see what happens. So,
oh yeah, North Carolina.
There was a gold rush in North Carolina, and I also think Georgia.
Huh.
Before there was one in California, and I did not know those things until I started looking up things about the California gold rush. So I just wanted to have Bob echo that. I wanted to have Bob say there was a gold rush in North Carolina. It's like, because I didn't know that. So yeah, Joe does his little thing. He does a maniacal laugh, and the window lifts up. And the player, and that's a two-part thing. First of all, it looks kind of fun and lets you show Bob or Joe having his little,
Knock
thing.
It off.
And second of all, it suggests to the player that they're back in control. And it's so cool how this works. I love it because then the window just drops back down with a thud. And I just love it. Also, so Kearney just asked, what did Will make this in? Straight C++? Heck no. I made this in Game Maker Studio 2 because Game Maker Studio 2 is incredible for iterating on games at lightning fast speeds. It's wonderful for game jams. Where's my paycheck, Yo-Yo Games?
How's it working over Game Maker 1?
There are some minor things that I miss, very, very minor things that I miss from GMS 1.4. But overall, there are some very key things that GMS 2 changes that make it much, much more convenient. For one thing, local variables are remembered by the code parser thingy. So, like, I don't have to do a thing where I type a variable and then I'm like, does this have a capital letter in it or not? Because the thing just tells me. It's just like, oh yeah, you mean this variable. I'm like, heck yeah, I mean that variable. But probably the most important thing that GMS2 has over GMS 1.4 is that the level editor is not complete and total garbage.
Oh, thank God.
In GMS2, the level editor has layers, and you can create sprites on those layers. You can draw stuff to those layers. It's great and like each layer has like a different grid size. So like that was very useful for me to unearth, for example, because the origin of the tiles, the blocks, and all that is it's 0 instead of like the middle of the middle of the block, like the player character and stuff like that. So I could have those snap to corners like on an 8x8 grid, and then the players, like the player and stuff, be like on a 4x4 grid, so I can have them centered and things like that. But yeah, I just realized that we're over time.
Yes, we are. Thank you for coming on, Will. Unearth is pretty amazing.
Thank you. I'm very proud of it.
As you should be.
You should be proud of it. It's awesome.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, we got TomR with Night of the Surfing Dead.
Nice.
Hey, man.
Hey,
before you go, Will, get Will back here for a sec.
I'm here.
Hey, man. You didn't talk about the huge glaring flaw in your otherwise perfect game.
Uh-oh.
My pixel font in Unearth is super bad because I'm like really trashy at fonts.
That's not even a pixel font, brother. You just scaled down some other junk.
Yep, that is exactly correct.
All right, I couldn't let that go. We talked about that before the stream started.
We did.
I was, I'm like, yeah, you eat up my time. Do it. I don't have much to say anyways, but I'm going to bring that up. Oh, yeah.
The whole stream may be running a little late.
Yeah, whatever. We're fine.
All right, tell us a bit about Night of the Surfing Dead.
Yeah, so this is it's basically Breakout. But I made a Breakout game before, and I think it was Internet Janitor pointed out that the big problem with a Breakout game is as you break the blocks, it gets more boring. So I thought, like, the obvious way to fix that is to just put more blocks on the screen as time goes on. And Larissa and I were trying to come up with different ways to do that, but what we ended up settling on was like, you know how like Space Invaders, you got all those guys and they're coming down from the top. We just have more of them coming onto the screen, like more blocks of enemies. But instead of coming in from the top, they come in from the side just because of the kind of the dressing we have here where it's surfing. So it kind of makes it look like you're moving in space. So the enemies aren't just randomly generated. They are actual waves that are kind of laid out. But,
right on.
You know, once you get into it, there's so much happening, you could never tell that anyway.
Yo, the mask count, though. It's incredible.
Yeah,
8
actually,
masks.
that's like the key to getting a really, really good high score is to try and get as many masks as possible early. Use the time you have here where you can avoid the shots that are coming from those aliens. And sometimes even just holding on to the ball and bouncing the zombie girl heads around because they'll break blocks too.
I'm really enjoying the animation of the water, such as I guess that's water. How was that done?
That's a particle.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, the wave across the bottom is one particle particle system. The wave in the back is also a particle system. The front of the wave break is another particle system, and then like I don't know what you'd call it, the wave falling over part, that's another set of particles.
Huh.
And the clouds in the background are particles, and I got particles on the surfboard, and there's particles coming off of the shots from the aliens, and particles on the ball. Particles happen when everything explodes. We've got particles everywhere. Particles, they're great. Particles all over. I'd make a whole game out of particles if I could.
Particle game.
Yeah. See, so one of the other things that happens here is if you can keep a wave of these zombie girl heads going, then you'll just destroy everything.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed the ball just keeps bouncing right up off of them. So what does Dick Dracula do? I've noticed him pop up a couple times.
So he comes in. He's worth a lot of points. And he kind of floats down from the top. And he won't interact with anything but the ball. But then he'll come down a second time. And the only thing that can kill him is the zombie girl heads. But if he touches any of the enemies when he's coming down the second time, he will destroy them because he's all pissed off. He has a different face. So it's kind of one of those things where if you know to not have a huge wave of zombie girl heads, which would be almost impossible because look at all these girls
Seems
coming.
like wise advice, don't have a huge wave of zombie girl heads.
Yeah. But that's what you should have, though. Most of the time, you want to have all these heads. Look at them go. They're breaking everything.
Wow.
So yeah, there's strategies and stuff in the game. It's just it looks so chaotic. It's one of those things that's like impossible to for like the player to discover unless they just keep playing and playing and playing. I kind of thought about it more like like how Flash games used to be popular and they'd just be all crazy.
Oh yeah, they just get insane zero.
Yeah. So Larissa did a lot of the programming, maybe about half of it, and she never did anything in Unity other than maybe a tutorial or something a long time ago. So when we started this project, she did a tutorial, jumped right in, because she's pretty good at programming. I decided to do this kind of hand-drawn art because I figured I could pump out a bunch of things, and then I used the animation system right in Unity to animate everything. So like the little demon girls, they're made out of a bunch of little chunks. Like their arms and legs are each 2 pieces, and everything's separately animated.
Oh wow, I don't think I need to do anything anymore.
Well, you should still be trying to catch.
I did it.
The, look at this. I love it.
I'll leave the ball go, and all the zombie heads will kill everything else.
Yeah.
I am kind of intrigued in how long I can keep this going for.
Yeah, it's weird that the ball got so stable because it actually has a force on it that's pushing it around.
Oh, I got a mask. Oh, yeah. There's Dick Dracula. He killed some enemies. He wasn't too happy about it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there we go. I think this is starting to get off kilter.
Yeah, it's going up and down a little bit. I've never seen it do this for this long. This is new to me. So anyway, I got a post-mortem up on the Awful Jam site. And like most of the post-mortem is like stuff that I did wrong and things that I would change. But like I see that as a good thing because I learned a lot doing this. Oh, there you go.
There we go. No, that's definitely good post-mortem. It's just looking back and seeing what you could have done better.
Yeah, you got a higher time than me, but not a higher score. My highest score was 2.5 million. So yeah, one of the big problems I have is the hitboxes don't really match up with the art. So like the skeleton is just a decoration. The zaps don't hit him, only the surfboard. And the part of the surfboard that actually bounces the ball around isn't the same shape as the surfboard. It's kind of like a barn roof where it's a couple different slopes. People always tell me that the particle or the projectiles don't stand out well. You kind of get lost. They're hard to see.
I did notice in the chaos earlier that I was picking up masks and I was losing masks as soon as I got them.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point you're getting millions of points. Balls going everywhere.
The multiplier for points actually ramps up until it gets to the maximum. It's also what drives how often things are spawned. And the speed of the things coming in is also driven by that too, but they don't actually ever look like they're going all that much faster because I didn't want things to just go rushing by. You'd never be able to get them then. Probably the biggest problem is the player agency because like here, you feel probably like you can bounce the ball around and you can pick it up. Like you can drop it in the water on purpose so you can go get it and fire it again. But once things get going, you're basically just along for the ride, and it's all luck. And that's not great. And the the only way to lose is to drop the ball in the water and not be able to get it. And probably the only way you wouldn't be able to get it is by being stunned. And being stunned doesn't feel good, because that's like taking control away from the player, and then losing because you've been stunned a whole bunch just feels awful. So that, probably should have worked something out there. But
maybe
stacking stun locks are one of my least favorite things in games.
Maybe like some invincibility frames after you get shocked and come out of stun.
Well, because it's a classic game dev principle of when the player dies, you want them to kind of feel like, all right, I deserve that. I should do better next time.
Yeah, but at the point where you're losing to the stuns, there's just so many bullets on screen. Even if you had a few frames, you just get hit again right away because the entire screen's covered in shots.
Maybe a screen clear could have helped that. Like when you get hit, like in some shmups.
Yeah, like destroy all the bullets. Yeah. Oh, there's tons of stuff that I could do to change this. I don't think I'm gonna visit this again. I mean, I've done a lot of different like breakouts and pongs and stuff. I should probably stop making games where I bounce balls around, make something different. But I am actually really happy with this. It's probably one of the best games I've made, even if it is kind of, has a lot of room for improvement. It's
got very good style to it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic looking game.
Yeah, I love the way it looks. It was Larissa's suggestion to have the demons use their butts to hit the ball. That was like her one major input on how things should look, and I was like, okay, we'll do that.
I definitely do look like how they look like
Speaking of which,
sailor tattoos.
Yeah, so I based everything on like old cheesy like B monster movies and like surfer kind of counterculture. Like there's this kind of cross section of like Halloween and surfing. And when I was looking around, I found this album on Free Sound, I think. Anyways, I linked it, and I just listened to it over and over again, and this music kept me going. I was like, this is exactly what I need to do to make the game. Like, this is how I want it to feel. So a lot of it was driven by the music that I found. I got the tiki masks and surfing and skeleton and stuff. Did a lot of Google image searches to see the different the different types of things that would show up. The boat is driven by like a little Ratfink kind of character. The
I kind of noticed
Dracula
that
boat. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was just like Dick Dracula has a really weird looking hand holding the throttle or something.
No, the scale was a little bit off because I wanted to have something big enough to be like a boss, but then I didn't want like a big massive boat that just came in and looked ridiculous. So yeah, I'm definitely not as thoughtful a game dev as Will. I love his game. Like as soon as I seen it, I was like, "That's amazing! This is the best game ever."
I think
like
too damn
Jam over. Don't need any other games. That one's perfect.
I think too damn hard about my games is evidenced by the fact that I spoke for like 30 minutes without breathing.
Yeah, you know what?
Hey, but it's good when people have something to say about, a project. It's good to be passionate.
Very.
Yeah, no. Actually, I also like the next game you're going to talk about, the UFO where you build the
build all the
monuments. That's amazing. I love that too. I've never actually, other than the Octo Jams, because I always work solo for Octo, but that's always simple, straightforward, pretty much only game mechanics. You can't, well, some people do a great job, but I have a horrible time trying to squeeze graphics into Octo. So it's fun there to just play around with, little mini game mechanic things. But for some reason, I've always been more like making a Unity game that somebody else is kind of gray boxed and having it look like something. So I never had a whole ton of input on like the mechanics of the games that we've made. So I decided to make a game more on my own. Like Larissa helped because she wanted to get some Unity experience, but she didn't have a whole lot of input on the game mechanics. I probably should have had somebody helping me there because this is like crazy mess.
Well, I did see during the jam that you were getting builds out to people and asking them to test early.
Yeah,
which very good idea to iron out any bugs.
Yeah, so this game has no bugs. It's perfect software.
Perfect.
At least none that anybody's found. There's probably like Unity bugs, but none of the scripts are complicated enough to actually have like a bug that I put in here, I don't think. Unless you find one, which I'll admit to, nobody's perfect. But I really wanted a lot of play testing because I am horrible for being blind to problems in a game, especially one that I'm making. So I wanted people to like rip the game apart. So I'd like add a feature and I'd be like, "Hey, everybody, come play my game." Everybody's like, "Oh, it looks great." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care about that. Like, what's wrong with it, right?" So I had to put in a mask to counter the getting zapped, and I thought, "Oh, there's tons of masks. Somebody's gonna accidentally pick one up. They're gonna know what it does." Ain't nobody did that. I had to put in the counter at the bottom to at least give an idea that you should pick them up. Nobody picked up on what the lives were. I had the progress bar that wraps around the ball when it's in the water. Nobody knew what that was for. So I put a little icon of the ball next to the lives counter. I ended up putting the time in just as like another thing, because really the only way to measure your success in the game before that was the score. And I mean, the score just gets insane. So a time is another good measure for how good you're doing in the game. So yeah, there's a lot of little things, some big things that I could probably do a lot better next time.
I think I'm finally getting the hang of the strategy of once you get those zombie girls going, just hang on to the ball until I accidentally lose it.
Well, an early build, you could hang on to the ball forever, and the ball, when it's on your surfboard, still breaks the enemies. But since you can't get to the top half of the screen, I thought that was fair. So you can use it to bust the lowest Tiki Man, or you can use it to pop all these zombie girls. And if you're good, you can hold onto the ball for quite a while and use the heads to do all your damage. I didn't see anybody pick up on that, and people didn't like holding onto the ball. It felt really cheesy. So if you get zapped while you're holding the ball, it ejects the ball.
That's a good idea. Now I can actually concentrate on dodging all the bullets, which gets a lot easier.
Late game, I don't even look at the top half of the screen. I always stay like focused on the bottom half of the screen and pretty much just try and get to the ball, not get hit by the projectiles.
I did it again.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I got something weird tied to frame rate or something. Although everything is Unity physics, so I'll blame them. It's not me.
I've completely lost track of what's going on in the game right now. The ball is just bouncing back and forth. The camera is constantly like zooming out and in.
Yeah.
I'm just trying. I messed it up. I was trying to hit all the zombie girl heads up while the ball was still going back and forth.
So the camera's orthographic, but it changes its size based on how far the ball is away from the player. because originally I had the field much bigger. So you needed like to be able to zoom out to see where the ball went. But then I never took it out because when I turned off the camera moving around, it just felt really stale to me. Like it kind of made the game feel dead.
Definitely gives it a lot more life.
Yeah, it gets annoying. Some people, it made them feel sick. So that's something that if I thought about, I put in the options to turn off.
The camera movement looks pretty good, but when the ball gets going that fast, it looks a little bit goofy, but it sort of evokes that old, I don't know which era exactly, film, but like people would like have like abused zoom in on their cameras to like show drama.
Oh yeah, the original Star Trek does that. Like in an episode, they like point the camera at a flashing light and zoom it in and out on it to be like, oh, it's a red alert, and you're like, holy cow, you're gonna make me puke. Stop this. So yeah, a lot of people told me they were really confused how the game related to the theme. Once I told them, most people were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. I like that take." But yeah, I don't know if it doesn't read from the game, it's probably not that good.
It is hard to make a self-evident sort of theme, I think.
See,
well,
let me tell you what I learned for getting your theme into the game. Start game with the date that it's going on, and then instantly there you go, it's history.
Well, I have in the included README, I put my blurb from the Awful Gems site, and I mean, a lot of people, they want to put like cutscenes and stuff in, and to me, especially in a game jam, like a cutscene doesn't have anything to do with gameplay, and I think that a jam should be more about gameplay and then polishing up like a tight game loop. And I mean, I didn't do a great job of that here. I focused more on the art, but a cutscene is good for setting like the tone and getting some story across, but I don't really have a lot of story to tell. So, you know, I could have tried to animate my my blurb that I put about aliens coming to zombificate everybody, but
Yeah, I just noticed the alien's eyes follow the ball. I think that's really great.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the alien eyes follow the ball. When Dracula's flying around, his eyes follow the ball. The eyes on the demon girls are animated, but they don't look at the ball. They just move their eyes when they're bouncing around. The zombie girl's eyes are not animated. They're dead-eyed. I was pretty proud of the kind of like little dance that the zombie surfing girls are doing. It has a few steps. They kind of shimmy low and then they go high.
Oh yeah.
I forgot a particle effect. I got these bubbles coming up off the waves, and then I have them in the background up in the air to show the wind. And one of the things I fell down, I tried to put in a wind effect that showed the wind was pushing the ball, but it never read right. And if the ball goes into the wave in the bottom left, it actually can like swirl around and get ejected. Nobody ever noticed that either.
I did notice during one of the waves that my ball was kind of lingering in the air and then just started moving left a bit. So that's kind of nice, just out of an up-down loop.
Did you figure out how to shoot the ball in different directions?
While moving, right?
Yeah. So like.
There we go.
Yeah, there you shot it pretty much up.
It's getting that backwards throw that's a little weird.
Yeah, you can't shoot it backwards, but the wind pushes it back. So if you shoot it up, it'll kind of go back.
Get like an arc shot to that.
So anyway, you're quiet, Xibanya. What's the matter?
I just haven't had anything really good to say.
Say something bad then. Come on.
I have nothing bad to say. I like the font. It's one of those 80s looking fonts.
Oh, so we're talking about the font, are we now?
This game,
Yeah.
it's all synthwave and shit. This game is it's got
attention.
aesthetic.
Get some chiptunes going.
When I did the logo, I actually didn't have a name for this game for quite a while. The project is called Surf. And then I was digging around for a font because I think we're using, I don't know, like Arial or something as a stand-in. And then I was looking through fonts and I found that one and I was like, oh, awesome. And I did an image search for a bunch of old movie titles. And I didn't use a font from Night of the Living Dead, but because it's more blocky. But this one is kind of like that kind of like horror movie kind of a font. And then I thought, oh, if I call it Night of the Surfing Dead, people will make that movie connection. So I hope that worked. I don't know.
It's just cool and very whimsical.
Yeah. Oh, and sound. Oh, I had a hell of a time with sound because
Yeah, tell us
I don't
about
know
that.
anything about sound. And so I went to Freesound and I was just listening to sounds over and over, all different sounds, and I'd like do a different search and I'd listen to sounds and I was like, oh, this is painful. Spent like a solid like 8-hour day listening to sounds, and I'm not real happy. I mean, some of them are pretty good, but like the sound when the ball goes in the water to alert you that you should get it out, that's terrible. The sound when you lose a life, that's not very good either. So I got to work with a sound guy. Should probably find somebody that like is good with game design to point me in the right direction. Then I'll just do the art. I'll just like add style to somebody else's game.
Just admiring all the particles. I know you talk
Oh,
about the
yeah.
particles, but it's just there's so much.
Yeah, I got explosions, I got feathers, I got tentacles come off the aliens.
What was this? Did you use any audio middleware for this?
Oh, dang.
Or was it the native Unity stuff?
No, it's just the Unity stuff. This is actually very, very simple game under the hood. Anything that moves is either a Unity animation or particle system. The skeleton rig is just like a 2D ragdoll physics rig that I made, just using like hinge joints. And there's actually a script that makes the skeleton chase the player around. So the surfboard is tied like per frame to your controls, but the skeleton lags, and he moves by a physics input so that he'll bounce around.
Huh.
Yeah, but like everything else is either animated, Unity physics, or particles. There's not a whole ton of code in this. It's all just
It's pretty amazing what you can do with that little.
Yeah, it's pretty
Well,
fucking red.
I didn't know how much time or how well Larissa would take to Unity, so I tried to like scope it down really, really low. And I kind of hit all of my goals that I set out really early, and then I was struggling to think of what to do.
Well, it sounds like you did a really good job of underscoping, like one of the only people who is actually capable of doing that in this jam.
Man, I underscoped way too much. I had like an entire week where I was just like fine polishing like all the little things that people were getting back to me on about, the problems with the game. I mean, I never fully resolved the gameplay issues, but that's kind of fundamental to what I was going for, I guess. You know, I just wanted it to get super crazy and be all exciting and be like, whoa, what's happening here?
Well, I certainly enjoyed watching the work in progress stuff, being like, what the fuck is he actually doing?
Yeah, so I'm really happy with it. It's not perfect or nothing, but I like it. I like it a lot. I played it quite a bit too.
Right on. I think
that's my time.
Yep,
on,
that's your time. I'm putting my foot down now.
You gotta speak up, man. You're in charge here. Get on this.
Yeah, but I still want to hear you talk. And this is kind of free form. I don't gotta stop at any certain time. But I'm sure Panache and everyone else wants to come on. So they're gonna come on next.
I have an early bedtime.
Yeah.
I got my glass of warm milk already.
All right. Here comes a special stream.
Woo!
Special Hippo.
I still love that image.
Yes, it's beautiful.
All right, up next is Unidentified Falling Objects. We got with us Panache, Eeyore, and EbonySky.
Oh, I haven't played this game yet, but it's got a scoreboard. I have to play it now.
Yeah, you gotta play
4 brothers.
Whoa!
4 brothers. Holy cow.
Yeah. We call our studio Some Brothers Studio to give us a little bit of flexibility in who's partaking in the jam, but Yeah.
It was originally 3 brothers, and then we were like, all right, next for the Winter Jam, we'll have 4 brothers. But then some people didn't want to do it, so then we named ourselves 4 brothers, and we were like, fuck, 2 people don't want to do it. So then we were like, all right, we'll make it more robust name, Some Brothers Studios.
So what did y'all make this in?
This is Unity.
All right.
And I'm glad you mentioned the scoreboard, because I am hugely into having the scoreboard. I think this is is a cool idea. I remember last Winter Jam, the winner, Ono Volcano, actually had
Outer Ramos.
Right. And I thought that was so motivating, and so many people were coming back and I thought the idea of having a motivation framework was cool. Plus I was playing a lot of Mini Metro. Have you guys ever played that?
Oh, I love Mini Metro.
Yes. Yeah, that game is sick. But it has a scoreboard, and what I liked about Mini Metro's scoreboard is that it was a micro level scoreboard. It showed you your friends' scores. And for me, I was like, fuck yeah. I would boot the game up and be like, I'm gonna beat his score. And I would just play the level over and over until I beat that person's score. And I was like,
him being me most of the time.
That's what I've really been enjoying about Zachtronics games, is that they show you.
Yeah.
I've also been noticing that there's a little bit of light screen shake when you drop a block, and you probably know that we here at Awful Gyms are nuts about screen shake.
As am I.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Shake everything.
It's juice, man. It's got juice.
I just watched the GDC talk. I believe it was posted on the R game dev on subreddit that was adding juice to your games via math, and it was all about how to do mathematically correct camera shakes. It was so cool. And of course it was after we'd already submitted the game, and I was like, oh no, I did it all completely wrong.
I've heard about that talk, but I haven't watched it because I have a very short attention span. But I've heard it was good.
Great.
Yeah, it was.
So where's this music from?
Kevin?
All written by me.
Dang.
Very nice.
All originals. I'm kind of in charge of sound effects and music and the kind of 1 or 2 3D models we actually have in here.
He's selling himself short. Night of submission, we were playing it and we were like, okay, you know what? Listening to this song on repeat a million times kind of gets old. Kevin, can you compose a song right now? And so he spent 4 hours composing a song from scratch right before the game was due.
What do you use to produce your music, or what's your DAW?
I use FL Studio.
Oh yeah, Fruity Loops.
Yeah, Fruity Loops. Yeah. Actually, all the music from this was written exclusively with the Chrono Trigger sound fonts. So I did that just to make it sound a little more kind of consistent, instrumentation wise. So I was pretty happy with this. This is probably my favorite music of the 4 games we've made.
I can relate to that because I have a bit of Chrono Trigger in my game as well.
Yeah, I wanted to incorporate. They have these dope, stupid little voices where it goes like "pop, pop, ow," and I wanted to incorporate that, but I thought it would be too cutesy.
No, I think it came out really good. Unfortunately, in our build, there's a bug where we changed the wrong variable for how many times it repeats, so you don't really hear the second song that he worked so hard composing.
Well, you can still update the public build.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we fixed the build, but the judging build, I think it repeats like.
That's
4.
right. I cannot play the public build, so
Oof.
I'll play it later, after the judging.
And I like how like funky the see how it's like kind of leaning right now.
You have a little jitter there.
It's kind of like I kind of resonated with Tom was saying to me before the stream, where like humor is paramount. Like the really physical comedy, I think, of just using pure physics has some value. Like,
and this is the built-in Unity physics, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do anything special.
Yep.
Which, kind of hit us in the ass in some levels, but it also works well in some levels. Like, I think the next level is the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I specifically arranged the blocks such that it's more likely than not to fall over when you complete it. Like, if you can line it up well, it's guaranteed to fall. And like, as your UFO is flying away, it's like collapsing to the ground. And I like the idea that like UFO is like, all right, job's done. It like falls to the ground.
Yes, you're home and it needs you.
Yeah, exactly. I got better things to do than build some Italian structures all day.
That's
one
beautiful,
is
man.
rough.
I love that.
Yeah, this is a really cute mechanic. Although it would be cute if you guys had backgrounds that matched the locales.
I know we tried a little bit, but like having like a Italian city kind of background was beyond our skill set. Almost.
Makes sense.
I'm not very good at modeling or anything like that, so I was like, one alien and a couple blocks, and I'm stretched thin.
I did it.
There it
you
is.
could
There it
use,
is.
Yeah.
Didn't accept.
It's all.
Go to SketchUp Warehouse and steal like a Coliseum model from them.
Yeah,
Because
that would have
terms of
been-
service.
That would have been
You
such a
can-
good idea.
it's also admitting defeat, though. I don't like to do that.
But per their terms of service, you can use their models for anything you want.
I'm always saying to Kevin we should raid the asset store, but he's like,
I'm against it. I'm a purist. I think it's it's just in my opinion. I like to do it all from scratch. It's like, I mean, part of the fun of the jam is like expanding my own skill set. So either I'm gonna do it my own way, or I'm not gonna do it at all. Is my opinion.
I like the nice little prompt. By the way, you can restart. It's nice
That-
user friendliness.
that
Quality of
appears
life.
Restarting
if
is for
your
quitters.
score is like judged to be sufficiently bad that it's
Well,
like
that's a
okay,
wonderful
they should
quality of
probably
life
restart.
thing.
Yeah. I think it helps a lot. Oh, D Hippo, you got the second score here.
Yeah, Masty's got all the high scores at the moment.
We
I
were
wonder
like
if she's
stalking-
judging this game.
We were stalking the high score table as it was coming out. Like every day I'd come home from work and like boot up the high scores and be like, all right, who's played it? Who's played it? Because you can kind of use that to check.
Oh,
track it.
geez. Yeah, I've got a game on Steam with a leaderboard, and so that's what I do is I'm constantly checking and being like, people are playing this game, right?
There we go. Totally stable.
Nice.
We did talk for a little bit about adding a mechanic where subtly flicking the base of every single structure as it flies away so that it would collapse no matter what at the end.
I still
Ultimately,
sort of
didn't do
regret
it.
not doing that. I think it would have been really funny. But I was finding things were pretty much collapsing without our help, so I was like, you know what, forget it.
Ooh, threaded the needle on that one.
Yeah, those blocks are really hard to land, like probably too hard. Like if I could redo it, I might add more of a gap. Because like to get it like spot on score-wise, it basically has to be touching. I like this level how, it's not going to do it. Like this has a tendency where the ball will, there it goes.
There we go.
Roll off as the high score table is displayed. I think that's so
Nice.
funny. See, I just love the physical humor element of just like having a physics game. Plus, I've been playing so much like desert golf, which is all that game is just you're hitting a golf ball in a desert, and there's no
Oh, this is
trick.
nice.
Yeah. We changed the setting in like a couple levels.
Yeah, I do want to give a shout out specifically to this setting because when you drop the blocks in the water and it splashes, it's just very nice.
There you go. That's Eeyore.
Yes, this game, I need to play it. It looks very satisfying to play.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I like the juicy words. I was sort of like, okay, DDR, I feel cool when I hit a note well in DDR. So that's kind of what was
feedback is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Responsiveness.
We changed, originally Miss was bad, but I decided that was too negative. One of our playtesters was like, oh, it's calling me bad. And like I was like, oh, I don't want anyone to feel bad. So we switched it to Miss.
That's good.
It's funny. I was saying to everybody, like, I learned so much more watching someone play the game than soliciting feedback from the game. Like,
definitely.
When someone's playing it, they're like, they're cherry picking what they're going to say to you. Whereas, like, when you watch it over their shoulder, you see like every button they press that doesn't go the way they want, and that they might think is too insignificant to tell you that. But it's so valuable, so you can kind of switch, something behind the scenes. Like pretty much every button you could press drops the block from the UFO. I wanted it to be very mommable, like John Trine was kind of saying on the stream, or like John was saying on the stream. Like I wanted it to be like we didn't need to have any explanation for how to play.
So Dieting Hippo knows this, but I frequently go to expos and other showcases in my locale to, have people play my games live. And it's as you say, you really learn more by watching than by asking people. But if you have the opportunity to do that in your area, I really recommend it. And fight the urge to try to help any player or to actually talk to them while they're playing.
It is the worst feeling ever, but I promise you can do it. You just sit them down with the game, at most give them an index card with some directions, and then just put your hands on your mouth or behind your back, don't do anything. That was how I learned how to effectively focus test your game, because if you're helping people, you have to keep in mind you're not going to be helping them out when they're at home playing your game.
Yeah. And I loved your idea for the index card, because I'd gone to expos where it's like there's one really annoying thing that's not user-friendly and everybody gets stuck there. And so like I have to jump in and help them for that one part and then let them like do their thing. But then writing it down on the card is like, okay, there you guys go. You can do your thing. But I don't know where you guys are located. You should totally show this game off in public. All of you guys should show your games off in public.
Yeah, I'm in Boston. I don't think there's any indie game, any indie scene.
Oh, there is. There's playcrafting in Boston. Boston has playcrafting.
Yeah, it's actually a super active scene here. It's great.
And I think the something about sheep's meow or some bullshit like that.
So this is the infinite mode. This was sort of turned into maybe like our flagship mode or something that really resonated with testers. Like not unsurprising to me. Like I had a coworker who was playing this mode for like an hour and like he was getting really into it. And like, for instance, I added the next block button kind of Tetris style for him because he was like, I don't know what I'm going to get next. Like, I need to strategize.
I didn't even think about using that. I'm just dropping them as they come along.
Almost no one does. Like, I don't know if I added it.
Oh, no. I was just about to say, I like how I can use the 3 allowed on the ground to make a wider base. And that did not help me too much when I just randomly dropped a block.
Yeah, that was the idea behind like having a certain amount allowed on the ground. I wanted to give testers or the players like an idea of how they wanted to do it. So the way I see it, there's 2 strategies, vaguely. You can either do like a 3 wide base and kind of build sort of wide upward, or you can do kind of what you're doing, build straight up and allow yourself to make 2 fuck ups. And I think that's totally fine too. And I had a tester who would, whenever he got tall blocks, he would just lob them off the edge. He would be like, okay, I don't know how to deal with this. But using like a stack tower like this. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like, he could figure out his own strategy and that was chill. You're sort of seeing the weakness here. Yeah. I could talk for hours about this frickin' Z direction thing. Like if you line up blocks in real life, yeah, they will eventually fall either towards or away from you if you're stacking them straight up. but it kind of still feels bad. Like you feel like you don't have any control over like the Z direction falling, because obviously you can't place blocks in the Z direction.
No, there was one time earlier on with infinite mode where as I was stacking them, I had the 3 set out and I put down 1 vertical and it just tipped forward, hit the ground, and I was like, oh no.
No.
Just the 1.
So I made a build like out of my own morbid curiosity where every time a block is off screen, it loses its Unity rigid body, so it has like no ability to fall. And with that, you can just stack straight up like a madman. And that sort of felt weak to me too, because it was almost too easy. And I don't know what a good solution is to this problem. Like,
what did you try making it so they're not allowed to move back and forth?
It's sort of it's Unity's physics thing that might require a big rewrite. That's totally possible. But when you
just on the rigid body, you can lock the rotations and you can lock the movements individually. So if you lock them so they're allowed to move up and down, left and right, but not forwards and back, then they shouldn't fall forwards or backwards.
When I flipped that switch when I was testing it, it would take the force that would have been applied to the Z direction and applied it to like a combination of the X
there's like a is kinematic thing that you have to fool around with. I hate Unity's rigid bodies, but you gotta learn how to fuck with them, I guess.
Yeah, I spent a long time fucking with him, and apparently it wasn't long enough. It's tough. It really is.
There's a way to do it. We had a similar problem in Burger Game, and we figured it out. But that was a long time ago, so I don't remember off the top of my head what we did there. But yeah, you could definitely do it.
Shoot, I remember Burger Game. That was Critical Emission, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There's also no score words in this mode, which I'm just kind of torn about. Like,
oh no,
you don't get as much like satisfying feedback. He's kind of drop a block.
What it means is a sound.
Like when you, maybe you're right for this mode.
No.
Yeah,
this does seem very
no
relaxing though, with the music and everything.
Yeah. See, I love that.
That is fun. Bringing
though.
the joy of playing blocks back.
Yeah, I mean, like on one hand, the Z direction thing's kind of frustrating. On the other hand, Dr. Hippo still got like a really dieting Hippo. My mistake. Got a really good score, and I don't know.
Ain't too bad.
Man, I'm super competitive, so now I have to play this game and beat your score.
Yeah, you should. See if you can beat Masty on anything. I believe he has every high score except for the infinite.
Yep.
Well, she's your judge, so that's a good sign, I guess. I don't know if she played it a lot.
I believe during the Gong Show, she doesn't I better, if I'm the judge, I better have all the top scores anyway.
That's what it was.
Oh, that's right. I missed Sunday's Gong Show because I was busy. I got to go back and watch the VOD.
Oh yeah, no, she came in super prepared. Like,
yeah, we saw Masty playing. Masty, I think, was like the first score on the list, or maybe it was you dieting Hippo. Yeah, but we were watching all the scores update.
I played this when there was only like I think 5 or 6 names at most on the score list, and I was like, I'll come back to this later, and there'll be more scores for me to fight. And then Masty started judging the build, and there's no way I can touch her scores.
You're kind of getting a little bit of the song bug there.
Now, it'd be interesting if you had a mode where you were taking turns with somebody else.
That would be interesting. Kind of like Katamari Damacy, where you each had one stick.
There was a Tetris game with 2 Tetrises at once, so you could like race somebody else.
There is a game that I've played called Art of Balance. I believe it's available with a co-op feature on both Wii U and PS4, and it reminds me a lot of this game, except that you move the pieces around using a controller or touchscreen. but they're also very physics based, and you get to that same joy of things going horribly wrong as everything falls over.
Yeah, I love that.
But co-op balancing blocks is very fun. I recommend it.
I'm scared to make a multiplayer game because then it requires at least 2 people that are interested, and twice as many. So the score is pretty harsh too. You'll see that it's pretty much, so technically each block is worth 1,000 points. I don't know if you've noticed, but
yeah, I noticed some of the perfects also aren't a full 1,000. They're sometimes 908 points.
Yeah. So the official, I'm unobfuscating the score calculation right now for the record, is 1,000 divided by x plus 1 squared, where x is the distance between the ghost and the block dropped in Unity. So it's possible to get 1,000 if you are perfect, but it's so in reality it's hard because
floats.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too. I guess that's true. 999 is probably the highest possible score, realistically speaking. No, but yeah, it's tough. So we originally it was 1,000 divided by x plus 1, but we were finding scores were getting kind of bunched on the top end, so we sort of made it harsher. This is good. This is a good run.
Are these are there score text? Is that TextMex Pro?
No, this is just bullshit Unity default text.
Oh, dang. You should get TextMex Pro because it's free, and it will save you a lot of time.
What do you get from that?
TextMesh Pro. It's just where to begin? It's just so much better than default Unity text in every single way.
You can put drop shadows and all kinds of other junk.
I think this Leaning Tower of Pisa is slowly walking off screen.
It's trying to escape.
Yeah, that's a feature. Don't look. Everybody, look away.
No, you didn't do that. That's Unity. Blame them.
Thanks, Unity.
Well, like awesome. All things Unity, I could fix it if I, really.
But why would you want to fix this?
Why would I want to
this is something I would never fix. That's great.
No, I agree.
The Walking Tower Pisa.
So that should take about 5 minutes to get all the way off screen?
Oh, yeah.
No, eventually it'll just explode and you'll go, well, why? Why did that
That's
happen?
what this game is missing, is explosions.
There's fireworks when you beat a level.
That's not an explosion.
I saw.
Oh yeah, just add an explode it button after you show the score.
Oh, that's actually pretty funny.
Like in Burnout 3, where you're doing that mode where once you're done crashing into shit, you just blow your car the fuck up because why not?
Your car still is one piece. So would you like to detonate? Yes, please.
That game had a lot of juice.
That would be like Kevin was mentioning earlier, the flick idea we had. As the UFO is going away, we just covertly flick a block and it all tumbles to the ground. But I like the explosion too. I would definitely implement that. I think that
reminds me of one of the early bugs we had in the build, where the blocks would hit the structure as it went back and forth, as it got taller and taller, because the UFO wouldn't adjust its height automatically.
Yeah, the blocks had rigid bodies at one point while the UFO was still holding it. And so the block would just swing into the UFO, or the UFO would swing into the structure, and then with the block, and it would all just come crashing down. That was kind of interesting.
Perfect.
So yeah, officially perfect is getting 85% or higher, I believe, on the block placement. All the score words feel roughly right to me, which is basically just what I was going for. Oh, so you sort of touched on that's sort of a weird thing that can happen where it's kind of connecting to the block ahead of it, or above it rather, because it's measuring center to center.
Yeah.
And then it's really hard to land the first two on this level for sure.
Do the shadows draw directly below the UFO and the blocks?
Yep, that was sort of a accident. Unity has its own shadows, and
that is
I sort of think it's. Yeah, for sure, because I see it again kind of a DDR era. if you so wish, you line the shadow up with the shadow on the ground, and it sort of works out okay. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. That's how people are using this? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. We actually had to add shadows back onto the lower like Unity resolutions. Like when you set the settings to low, originally, all shadows are gone. And turns out that makes this game pretty hard to play.
Oh, yeah.
God, I love when that ball rolls.
I think the depth of field effect really adds to that.
Yeah, I agree. This is my first time playing with Unity's like post-processing library, and we have some like subtle effects going on, and I thought it worked okay.
This was my first time doing textures on 3D models, which was a challenge for me. Normally, I do sprites. That's my normal specialties. I do sprite and 2D stuff. And so Panache said to me, hey, since it's going to be a 3D game, you can do normal maps and textures. And I was like, what the hell is that? And so I spent a while doing research on normal maps and different texturing. I'm pretty happy with how most of them turned out. Honestly, in the very end, even though it was a pain for me and I was scared at first. Like the red iron, I think looks great. The desert bricks, I'm pretty happy with. So that's my first time working with textures and normal maps, but I was pretty happy with it.
What did you use to make them?
I made most of the textures. I made the desert brick one myself. And then I had a program that I used to make the normal maps. I completely forget what it's called.
It's just a sprite that goes on the side of a block. No problem. Same thing.
Alright, I'm going to super challenge here.
Double tower strat.
3 towers.
Triple tower strat.
So now you've increased your chances of messing up.
But it's that much more extreme.
Dear God, no
Gotta be
one's tried
extreme.
this.
You know what you guys could do is make a script that reads the velocity out of the rigid body on the block and then applies a force back in the depth direction. And then you can change the multiplier on that so you can kind of have the blocks sway back and forth towards the camera,
Yeah. That's a cool idea. Yeah, just as like a visual sway.
Yeah. But then you could, that would keep them from going too far, hopefully, but it might really mess up.
I'm busting up.
This is
Really
really
see at the bottom.
Oh,
Yeah, I just love I love how the camera comes back and you get to look at the thing like in all its horribleness.
It's like,
In the
this
UFO
is what you
spot.
did.
Exactly.
Maybe your score should be like a monospace font,
What's that?
so that all the numbers will line up.
Oh, right. I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's probably smart.
Yeah, bring in the font, chat back. You're not allowed to get away with bad letters around here.
It'll never end. It'll never leave me.
Dude, you made a game that was completely perfect, and we told you, hey, your pixels don't look right on these letters. And you're like, no, they're fine.
I knew they weren't fine. I just didn't care.
Man, you cared about everything else. What's the matter with you?
That's pretty good care distribution.
Caring about almost everything is still 99% of things.
Yeah, I care about the sounds, the music, the graphics. Just didn't care about the font.
Alright, this is the one.
There's something hypnotic about this mode. Like I am also compelled. This is probably my most fun game to test because I too was motivated by the scoreboard. Plus something about just physics. Physics are fun. I don't know.
Well,
If they are-
this mode is like, there's a lot of mobile games that are pretty much just this.
Oh,
If there's one thing that's really great about random modes in your game, is that they give a better window into what it would be like as a casual player. Because like I do a lot of hand designing levels and things like that, so I have absolutely no idea like how a puzzle is going to be to a new player. But when you have something like this, where it just keeps on going and you have to have your own clever wit, and the z-axis sometimes does things, there's a lot more. I guess there's a lot more like surprise that you feel. Like you feel like, oh yeah, that's something that I don't like, and if I don't like it, other players are going to find it really obnoxious.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Hey, Giggs is asking you how your scoreboard entries are managed.
Oh, so we're 3 out of 4 brothers. Our 4th brother just got his AWS certification, and it's just an AWS database that we send messages to.
Hey, blame the guy that's not here.
I think it does good. If there's a problem, it's my fault because I send the scores. He just handles them once he gets them. In fact, we had one of our testers was like he edited the memory, like he broke into the Unity executable, and he edited the raw score button. He was sending scores of like 2 billion, and I was like,
we're giving the hacks away. Whoa.
I mean, I shouldn't say that on stream. No one. That's impossible. Okay. We have very extensive anti-cheat.
What were these specific values he was editing? Just for reference.
That's like the big reason why we didn't bother to put in a high score thing in our game, because I didn't want to have to deal with sanitizing database and all that junk. I mean, Larissa would have done it anyways because that's her jam, but I didn't think we had time.
Yeah, no one's attacked the database yet. We'll see.
Yeah, wait till you get popular. This is going to be like an underground smash hit.
We encrypt the key at least. That's got to be something.
Sounds technical.
Yeah, it's the encrypt method in C#. Very intense.
Oh, there we go. New high score.
Oh, is it going to fall? Oh.
Go.
It's thinking about it. This one always does really weird things with the physics. I don't know what the hell is going on with this level.
Very nice work with the normal maps, by the way.
Yeah,
I actually tell that.
Yeah, they really do make a difference when the tower's leaning back and forth.
Yeah, that's true.
I found the program I use. It's called Crazy Bump. You kind of just plug in the texture, and it makes some nice normal maps, and you can adjust it. So I use that for basically everything.
What was it called?
Crazy Bump.
Huh.
Just figures it out based on what the texture looks like?
I think it figures it out based on the shade of the texture. So like the desert bricks, how the crevices were darker, you could say in Crazy Bump, okay, the crevices are to be pointed outwards, or they're to be pointed like inwards. So I adjusted them so they're pointed inwards. And that turned out really well, I think.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh, definitely when it passes by, you can just see the little shading of light under the bricks light up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much of the light on the bricks was baked in.
I didn't play too much with the lighting. Other than the skybox, if you want to count that. That was a pain. As I'm sure Panache will attest to.
Yeah, we had a lot of iterations with the skybox. We were kind of new to skyboxing. Turns out the sky is really important.
So is all the dunes out in the distance part of the skybox?
No, that's just the Unity terrain that I just manually switched. It's kind of, I'm not super proud of it, but it gets its job done.
Originally, we tried to incorporate like dunes in the distance in the skybox, but it would never look high quality enough. And yeah, it would just never look high quality enough. So I was like, there has to be another way. So I just made the skybox a sky, and then Panache added in the terrain. And I think, it suffices.
Yeah, it looks good.
This is a run.
Oh no.
This is one of those games you could just watch for a long, long time.
Yeah, I
It's
think this is
very
probably
relaxing.
our best game that we've made so far.
I would
It's got a
definitely be
ton of
proud of this
replayability.
game.
Alright, I'm gonna give the tower one more try. I'm gonna try to do a speed run here.
Oh no.
Just every time I
Single.
pass over, drop a block.
Yeah, single stack strat.
Getting flashbacks to TomR was one of his Octo games where you have to like stop a line.
Ghost Escape.
Yes.
This is not long for this world. Oh my
no.
god.
Oh no,
There we go,
it's
grab another
giving up.
Oh, look what you've done.
Hooray!
Yeah, so that's our game.
Cool. Thank you very much for coming on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Thanks for
by.
having us.
Jamflix
Fun
and chilling.
talking.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody.
Yeah, so that is it for Jamflix and Chill today. That was Will with Unearth, TomR with Night of the Surfing Dead, and Panache, Eeyore, and EbonySky, the 3 brothers out of 4, with Unidentified Falling Objects. Thanks for coming by, guys, and we'll be back tomorrow with more games.
Good job, everybody. Good night.
Good job.
Hooray.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.